is a web. A microscopic web. A microscopic web of connective tissue that goes through the entire cell, and it goes into every adjacent cell in the body. And it connects the whole body together. 100 trillion cells in your body connected through this network, through this net. Actually invested within the network. So you guys ever seen a really beautiful spider web? Like one that you could almost like take a tape measure to it and like measure the spaces. You're like, I can't believe it's like everyone is perfect. And every length of everything is perfect. It's like a perfect organization. Just like an absolutely beautiful spider web. You guys ever have experience of seeing one of those? Well, that's actually about the same shape as our connective tissue. That goes through the entire body. So it's very highly organized. Now, do you guys know what they call very highly organized structures in nature? They call them crystals. That's what a crystal is. Okay, so a crystal is a very highly organized structure molecularly. Now, crystals have really interesting properties. One of the properties of crystals is that they conduct electricity. And they conduct a special kind of electricity called piezoelectricity. Okay. Let's see if I can spell this right. Piezo. Electricity. So here's the bottom line, guys. Our connective tissue. You guys familiar with fascial tissue? Connective tissue? Okay. So I was just in Master Ying's connective tissue release class, right? Or Chinese yoga class, right? So in Chinese yoga, what we're doing is we're working on releasing the connective tissue, opening up the connective tissue, networks and strands. Now, the connective tissue in the body is crystalline in shape. Okay, that's what this spider web is. And because the connective tissue is crystalline in shape, it conducts electricity. It conducts piezoelectricity, a special kind of electricity. Okay, piezo means pressure. So crystals conduct their electricity when they're physically deformed in some way, when they're physically misshapen, when they're stretched or compressed or twisted. That's when they conduct their electricity. Now, connective tissue, guys, is the most ubiquitous tissue in the body. We have more connective tissue in our body than anything else. We are mostly water and connective tissue in our bodies. That's what we mostly are. Guys, have you ever seen a Jello mold? Remember Jello mold when you were kids? And maybe you make them for your kids, I don't know. But you remember the Jello mold? It's like a 70s thing. And so you have the Jello mold, and then inside of the Jello mold, you got some fruit floating around in there. You got like chunks of pear and oranges and whatever, bananas. You got it floating inside of the Jello mold, right? So I'm going to ask you a question. Is the Jello mold wrapped around the fruit, or is the fruit inside of the Jello mold? Think about that for a second. Is the Jello mold wrapped around the fruit, or is the fruit inside of the Jello mold?
Depends on whether you're the fruit or the Jello.
Yeah, it depends whether you're the fruit or the Jello, right? Because it's all perception. From the idea of the body, right, the fruit is inside of the Jello. So imagine that the fruit are your organs, or your bones, or your muscular system, or your nervous system, all invested within a connective tissue mold. So when I look at your body, what I see is a mold of connective tissue. And supported within that mold of connective tissue are your bones, which are actually also connective tissue, right? Your brain, which is nerve tissue, but it's focused inside of the connective tissue. So when we touch anything, I might say, go ahead and touch your radius. You're not actually touching your radius. What are you touching? You're touching connective tissue, right? Your skin, and then right underneath the skin is the connective tissue. So if you said, yeah, let's move the radius, you're moving the radius, but how are you moving the radius? You're moving it through the connective tissue. So if you have your Jello mold, and there's an apple in there, and I want to move the apple, how am I going to move it? I've actually got to push on the connective tissue to move the apple, right? Now surgeons will just cut the Jello mold open and take out the apple. But we're not surgeons, right? So here's the thing, guys. If we want to actually mobilize the pair, we have to move the body or touch the body in some way. So as Tai Chi Qigong teachers, how many of you help your students move their bodies? Anybody? Right, that's what you do. So depending on how you help your patient or your students move their bodies, you're actually helping them move their organs and their bones and their nervous tissue by doing that. And here's a really cool kicker. You ready? This is really, you guys ready for this one?
I'm not sure. I'm still getting used to the connective tissue.
Yes. Okay, so you have connective tissue. You have connective tissue. Connective tissue is crystalline in nature. Because it's crystalline in nature, it conducts electricity. It conducts piezoelectricity. Now, the piezoelectric flow actually carries information. It informs something. And can anybody guess what it informs? Piezoelectric information informs regenerative cells. The cells that actually heal the body. Right? There's cells inside of your body that their job is to heal the body. They're called blastic cells. Osteoblasts, myoblasts, chondroblasts, okay? But the job of those cells are to actually do the healing in your body. That's their job. And the information that flows through the connective tissue system turns those cells on or off.
What are they called again?
Blastic cells. You have three types of cells basically, and you have what we call cytes, C-Y-T-E-S, cytes, clasts, C-L-A-S-T-S, clasts. So we have these. We have cytes, clasts, and blasts. Okay? Cytes are mature cells. They maintain structure.